Hello loves, and welcome to today's video. I've been so busy lately. I've been running around from place to place, so I haven't really had any good time to sit and read. So I am pretty behind on reading this month. So I thought it might be a good idea to encourage myself that even if I don't have the time to read physically, I should still try and fit in some reading with audiobooks. I'm gonna do a 24-hour audiobook reading challenge. I'm gonna set a timer on my watch for 24 hours. While I'm listening to an audiobook, I can press play and the timer clocks down. As soon as I hit pause on the audiobook, I do also have to pause the timer. So we'll see how long it takes me to get 24 hours of audiobook reading in. So I am currently getting ready to go out for the day, and I am going to start listening to Rise Up, Burn Down by Vincent Torrado. This is a mystery thriller-ish book about a group of teenagers living in the Bronx, and there's a string of disappearances, and they've been tied to rumors of this mysterious game called the Echo Game. So I am going to get my coffee made, get my shoes on, and head out, and I'll give you some updates once I have listened to some of the book. Almost 3 hours into the challenge, 21:09 left, and I am about 3/4 of the way through Burn Down, Rise Up. So Burn Down, Rise Up so far been kind of a thriller. I'd have to look to check to see if it's YA. The cover looks very YA, but based on the writing, I'm kind of on the fence. So Burn Down, Rise Up, we're following this teenage girl who lives in the Bronx, and her mother is a nurse at a hospital, and she catches some weird mold from the brother of someone who the teenager goes to school with. All that to say, her mom slips into a coma, and then also there's this Echo Game, or it's sometimes called the train game, where at 3 a.m. you enter the train system and you have to keep walking in one direction that a dice roll chooses for you, and you have to keep walking, going straight for 1 hour, no turning back, no diverting off path, and people are going missing if they break the rules of this game. The main character is deduced that the Echo Game is related to what's happened to her mother and one of her friends from school. Her brother has disappeared. They're trying to work together to figure out what's going on with this Echo Game, where people are disappearing to, and how to cure the weird mold thing that's infected her mother. The Echo Game basically transports you back in time to the worst time for that city. So we do learn that it happens in a different city in London, which takes someone back to the Blitz, and in the Bronx it takes them back to the 70s and the burning down of the Bronx. So it is a bit of New York history, I'm assuming based on real information, and then also some kind of demonic, ghosty, cryptic things. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a very interesting concept. I do love a book that has some kind of weird game to it, and I am enjoying the occult aspects of it. I believe they mentioned that the main character's father believes in Santeria, so there's some magic-y protection spells that she's using. I'm enjoying it as a concept so far, and I'm interested to see if she does end up saving her mom, if we do find out where everybody's disappearing to, because at this point the main character has done the Echo Game and is now infected herself with the mold, having survived it, and her friends disappeared. I actually have nothing to do for the evening, which is increasingly rare for me. I used to never leave my home, and for some reason I'm just never home anymore, and having a night off seems strange to me. I watched the Fallout show recently, and I just want to play Fallout all the time now. So I'm probably going to listen to more of Burn Down, Rise Up while I explore the wastelands of Fallout 4, and I will give you some updates when I'm finished with that.
You have to know it's coming for you. I was outside in an alley. A rush of air carried thick clouds of smoke, filling my lungs and choking me. There were crumbling buildings all around me, and decaying.
I have hit 5 hours of audiobook listening. I have 1851 left. I did finish Burn Down, Rise Up by Vincent Torrado, and I will reserve final thoughts for the end of this video so I can go into depth on the Caw pile once I've had some time to think about how I feel about it. So there was a slight change of plans to my evening. Remembered that I have a 5K race next week that I probably should train for, so I did have to go for a run. And then when I got back from my run, I started Sex Cult Nun by Faith Jones. This is a memoir about Faith Jones, who was in a cult, specifically a sex cult, I'm assuming, based on the name. I'm about 10% into that so far, and the first chapter is just like a history of the cult, and then it goes into the first chapter. Her childhood is very much more about her personal experience with the cult than the history of the cult, even though that is in the book to give kind of a backstory. I am always very interested in cults and extreme fundamentalist religions and the tactics they use to convince people to join and to stay in the cult. So I am pretty excited about this one, and I will keep you updated. I do think I'm done with audiobooks for the day. I think 5 hours of audiobook is a good chunk, and I did at least finish one book so far already. So I am going to read, does this count as physically if it's an ebook? I'm going to read words on a page. I'm currently reading You Know What You Did by Katie Nguyen. I believe this is one of Kayla's Literally Dead book club picks for one of the upcoming months. My hold on it came in now. I'm 13% in, so I'm going to spend the rest of my evening reading this, get back to audiobooks tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to go to the archery range to practice because I'm trying to actually take my archery training seriously. And then I have my Delta Green game with my friends. So we'll see how much audiobook I get in there, and I'll provide you some more updates tomorrow. So now have about 14 and a half hours left in the 24-hour challenge. I got quite a bit of Sex Cult Nun read while I was commuting back and forth from the archery range, and I'm at 81% in. So it is a memoir about the author's life within the family, she calls it, which is a Christian cult. It is very much a free love cult. There's a lot of honestly abusive things that happen to her in this cult around her boundaries on sexual relationships. I'm enjoying it so far. It's obviously like fucked up what happened to her, but I do find it interesting how people have their minds reformed by cult behavior and the repetition and the fear of punishment that goes with it. So I'm finding it very interesting in terms of the story. We have 14 and a half hours to go in this 24-hour reading challenge. I did have plans for this evening / afternoon, but the plans got canceled, so I am back to playing Fallout 4. I finally got my install fixed, and I've missed video games. I haven't been able to play them very often recently. I just want to play Fallout 4. I just want to recruit Paladin Dance. That's my goal for the weekend, so we'll see if I end up listening to any audiobook while I do that. I say probably not, just because I am doing main quest stuff, which means I actually have to pay attention to dialogue. I will probably give you more updates either later tonight if I do end up listening to some, or when I finish Sex Cult Nun, probably tomorrow. Hello, I'm gonna make this update as quick as possible. I woke up with a sore throat. I have literally no other symptoms. I'm fine other than the fact that my throat is swollen, so we'll make this quick so I don't have to talk very long. I did finish Sex Cult Nun last night. Overall, I enjoyed it. I still have to sort out my thoughts, and hopefully my throat is better tomorrow and I can ramble on about how I feel about that without damaging my throat. I have 10 hours and 34 minutes left in the 24-hour timer because I started the Berry Pickers, which is told in 2 point of views. We have Norma, who is the child of these 2 affluent people. Her father kind of ignores her. Her mother is always really cautious and overprotective of her, and she, when she was younger, had these dreams, and everybody around her acts kind of weird when she talks about these dreams. And there's the other perspective, which is from a male narrator. I can't remember what his name is. He had his sister go missing, his sister Ruthie, when she was 4 years old, and it's about him dealing with the fact that his sister is missing. I think I'm about 40% in. I am calling it now that this book is about the 60s scoop. I might be wrong about that. I have strong inclinations that this book is about the 60s scoop. If you are not familiar with Canadian history, the 60s scoop was a coordinated effort in the 60s to basically forcibly take children away from their Indigenous First Nations parents and give them out to white people. So I have a feeling that's what's going on, and that Norma is Ruthie, who was taken from her parents. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my prediction for now. Even if that is the case, I'm hoping that the book is still interesting enough in the narrative that even seeing that coming, I still enjoy it. I am going to continue listening to that while I finish out my work day, because I'm doing some data entry, which means I can listen to audiobooks while I do it. Hopefully next time I talk to you, it doesn't hurt. So good news, I finished the Berry Pickers. Bad news is this is my voice now. I have had a sore throat for 4 days now. I've been to the doctor, I've COVID tested. It's not strep, it's not COVID. It's a viral infection. So I have 7 hours and 45 minutes left in this 24-hour reading challenge. I finished the Berry Pickers. I'm not going to talk about it yet because I really hope I have a voice by the time I have to get this video up, and I can do it later. Now I'm reading The Pisces by Melissa Broder, I think. So yeah. This is not going how I expected it to. It's now been 2 days since the last update. My throat no longer burns every time I try to talk, but I'm still clearly a bit nasally. I'm calling the challenge a fail because I originally planned to get through the 24 hours in like 4 days, 5 days, and it's been a full week. Also because I fell asleep with the timer going last night, and don't know how much time happened between when I fell asleep and stopped listening and when I woke up and was like, oh hey, the entire timer's gone. Challenge failed. But we will go through each of them. I'll give you my rating and then like a pro and a con for each of them, so you get an idea for each. So the first book I finished for this challenge was Burn Down, Rise Up by Vincent Torrado. I gave that one a 3.5. I did really like the concept of like an internet challenge taking you to the past, to the worst moment of your neighborhood's life. I thought that was a really interesting concept. It is just intended for a YA audience, so it was written a little younger than what I would prefer, but overall I did really enjoy it, so it got a 3.5. Next was Sex Cult Nun by Faith Jones. This also got a 3.5. It's a memoir about the author's life in a cult where she was expected to do like sexual acts from a young age. And some of that was very dramatic and very jaw-dropping and concerning, honestly. Then a lot of it was also just like her moving with her family to different places. Some of that got a bit mundane. So 3.5 overall. I think trimming some of the fat could have made this a more impactful overall. Next we have The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. This I gave a 3.25. So two perspectives. You have the brother whose sister went missing, and then you have this girl who her parents are always really shifty about what happened in her early childhood, and surprise, surprise, oh my god, it's the sister. No one didn't see that coming, let's be honest. It wasn't a 60 scoop framing of the narrative though, which surprised me. I see some of the points it was trying to make about generational trauma and how something like that could impact you for the rest of your life. I just didn't particularly connect to specifically the male narrator very much. I found the female narrator a lot more interesting and probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if it had just been from her perspective, but I understand why both of them were there. So overall a 3.25 for that one. I said in my last update that I was going to start The Pisces by Melissa Broder. I listened to like 10 minutes of it and my brain was not in the right space to wrap my head around it. And then my hold on A Treacherous Curse by Deanna Raybourn came in, and I figured that was a bit more speed at which my brain could process information. So I did read that one. That's what I fell asleep listening to last night, and I did finish it up this morning, so I may be compensated for the hours that I was asleep, maybe not, I don't know. It didn't probably work out to be exactly 24 hours, but I gave this one a 3.25. I wasn't as interested in the mystery of this one as I was in the first or the second one, but I will say that this is giving me a bit of what I was hoping that the Phryne Fisher mystery series would give me. When I watched the Phryne Fisher show, there's a chemistry between Phryne and the lead detective Jack, and that adds a lot to the narrative on top of the mysteries. That's what I'm getting between Veronica and Stoker. You're getting that kind of like, will they, won't they? There's tension here, but they're not letting themselves. It was a 3.25 for me. I did enjoy the aspects of this that was exposing a bit more about Stoker's backstory and how he came to be as grumpy as he is, but the actual mystery itself was hit or miss for me. So 3.25 for that one. I will be continuing the series, and that is my 24-hour reading challenge, for better or for worse. If you made it to the end of this video, leave the CD emoji in the comments, like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.